You don't just make a plan. You make a plan for the plan, then a backup plan for the backup plan. And somehow, you still don't feel ready. It's 11:47 at night. You have something tomorrow. Maybe a meeting, maybe school, maybe a simple hangout. But your brain is wide awake. What time should I leave? What if I'm late? What if they ask something I can't answer? What if the whole day goes wrong? So you open your notes app. Again. This is over-planning. Not normal planning. Not being responsible. Not being organized. Over-planning is when your brain keeps trying to control the future because it doesn't feel safe in the present. And here's the twist. Most people think over-planners are calm and prepared. But many over-planners are actually exhausted. Stay with me. This part will change how you see it. Over-planning usually starts with something small. You need to send a message. That's it. A simple message. But instead of typing and sending it, you start building a mental strategy. What should I say? What if they misunderstand? Should I sound casual? Should I wait 10 minutes? What if I seem too excited? What if I seem rude? Now the message is no longer a message. It has become a whole event. That is the first sign of the loop. The task is small, but your brain makes the consequences feel huge. You might over-plan conversations before they happen. You might rehearse answers in your head. You might check the route 3 times. You might rewrite one email for 30 minutes. You might delay starting something because you're still getting ready. And the tricky part is this. Over-planning often looks productive. You're researching. You're preparing. You're making lists. You're thinking ahead. So it feels responsible. But deep down, you can feel the difference. Normal planning gives you clarity. Over-planning gives you more questions. Normal planning helps you move. Over-planning keeps you frozen. But busy. That's why it's so sneaky. You can spend 2 hours preparing for a 10-minute task and still feel like you haven't done enough. Here's the twist. The problem is not that you care too much. The problem is that your brain has confused preparation with protection. It thinks, if I can predict every detail, nothing can hurt me, nothing can surprise me, nothing can make me feel embarrassed, rejected, lost, or out of control. So it keeps planning. Not because you are weak. Because your brain is trying to keep you safe. You're not broken, you're protecting yourself. But protection can become a cage when it never turns off. The brain does not love uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like an open tab. It wants closure. It wants an answer. It wants the future to become predictable before you step into it. So when something feels unclear, your mind starts running simulations. What could happen? What could go wrong? What should I do if it does? This is not random. Your brain is trying to reduce risk. It looks into the future and tries to solve problems before they exist. Sometimes, that helps. Planning your schedule helps. Bringing what you need helps. Thinking ahead helps. But over-planning takes a useful tool and uses it too much. It is like turning on a flashlight in a dark room. Helpful. But then you point the flashlight at every corner, every shadow, every tiny sound, until you convince yourself the whole room is dangerous. That is what the over-planning brain does. It treats uncertainty like danger. And then it treats more planning like safety. The problem is, the safety does not last. You make one plan. You feel better for 5 seconds. Then your brain says, but what if that plan fails? So you make another one. Then another. Then another. This is a loop, not your personality. And the loop has a pattern. First, you feel unsure. Second, you imagine possible problems. Third, you plan to avoid them. Fourth, you feel a little relief. Fifth, the relief fades. Then the brain asks for more planning. That tiny relief is what keeps the loop alive. It teaches your brain, planning fixed the fear. But really, planning only paused it. And this is where it flips. The goal is not to stop planning. That would be unrealistic. The goal is to notice when planning stops being useful and starts becoming a way to avoid feeling uncertain. Because uncertainty is not always a warning. Sometimes it is just life being normal. Over-planning has a cost. And the cost is not just time. It costs energy. You wake up tired because your brain worked all night. It costs confidence. Because every time you need 5 backup plans before acting, you quietly teach yourself, I can't handle things unless everything is controlled. It costs presence. You're sitting with friends, but your mind is planning the next thing. You're working on one task, but your brain is preparing for 3 future problems. You're trying to rest, but your mind says, rest later, we need to think. Overthinking is power without direction. Your brain has energy. Your brain has intelligence. Your brain has awareness. But instead of aiming that power at action, it aims it at imaginary emergencies. So what is the switch? The switch is learning the difference between a plan and a loop. A plan has an endpoint. A loop keeps asking for more. A plan sounds like, I'll leave at 8 o'clock. A loop sounds like, but what if traffic is bad? What if I can't park? What if my phone dies? What if I look unprepared? A plan makes the next step easier. A loop makes the next step feel heavier. A plan ends with action. A loop delays action. So the question is not, did I plan enough? The better question is, did this plan give me a next step? If yes, act. If no, you are probably feeding the loop. The useful part is, you don't have to trust the whole future. You only have to trust the next step. That is a huge difference. Overplanners often try to feel ready for the entire road. But life usually only gives you enough light for the next few feet. That does not mean you are failing. That means you are moving like a human. So when your brain says, we need a full plan, answer with, no, we need the next step. Name it, tame it. Call it what it is. This is overplanning. This is my brain trying to control uncertainty. This is a loop, not a solution. Once you name the loop, you stop obeying it automatically. You create a small space. And in that space, you can choose action. Imagine someone named Maya. Maya has a presentation tomorrow. She has already made the slides. She has practiced twice. She knows the main points. But at 10:30 at night, she starts changing the font. Then she changes the order. Then she rewrites the introduction. Then she wonders if the ending sounds awkward. Then she thinks, what if they ask questions? So she opens a new document and writes possible answers. 1 question becomes 5. 5 becomes 12. Now it's midnight. She is not improving the presentation anymore. She is trying to remove the possibility of feeling uncomfortable. And that is impossible. Because no plan can guarantee that life will never surprise you. At some point, Maya stops and notices something. Her chest feels tight. Her eyes are tired. The slides were done an hour ago. So she whispers, this is not preparation anymore. This is the loop. Then she does something small. She writes 1 sentence on a sticky note. I know enough to begin. Not, I know everything. Not, nothing will go wrong. Just, I know enough to begin. The next day, the presentation is not perfect. She forgets 1 sentence. Someone asks a question she didn't expect. But she handles it. Not perfectly. But enough. And that is the lesson overplanning tries to hide from you. You don't build confidence by predicting everything. You build confidence by meeting reality and realizing you can respond. Here is the reframe. Overplanning is not proof that you are smart. And it is not proof that you are failing. It is a signal. It means your brain is asking for certainty before it lets you move. But certainty is not the price of action. You are allowed to act with some unanswered questions. You are allowed to start while feeling unsure. You are allowed to be prepared without being perfectly protected. Today, try this one tiny action. Use the 1-page rule. Before a task, give yourself 1 small page. Not 10 tabs. Not 3 hours. 1 page. Write only 3 things. What am I doing? What is the next step? What is one realistic backup? That's it. When the page is full, planning is done. Then you take the next step. This works because it gives your brain structure without letting it build a maze. It respects the need to prepare. But it also protects your energy. Because the goal is not to become careless. The goal is to stop treating every normal moment like a crisis. For the next 24 hours, catch one over-planning moment. Just one. When you notice yourself planning the same thing again and again, pause and say, "This is a loop, not my personality." Then ask, what is the next step? Not the perfect step. Not the safest step. The next step. Then do it within 2 minutes. Small action breaks the spell. Comment the word plan if your brain turns simple things into full strategy meetings. And answer this. What do you overplan the most? Texts, work, school, conversations, money, the future, or bedtime thoughts? Your answer might help someone else feel less alone. Educational only, not medical advice.